to me, and I get it. Trust me, I factor everything in. I understand it's summer league. I know it's not NBA caliber players, but to me, in a lot of ways, I look at the rest of the roster on the Sacramento Kings. I'm like, doesn't it seem like he would be your starter in that 4 spot?
Uh, there's still a lot of offseason left, but you still have guys like Harrison Barnes on your team, and you still have,
A wing.
He's playing the 3.
I know,
Yeah.
true, probably playing the 3, but like, let's pretend the season begins tomorrow. Like I've had it explained to me, like, I mean, you could, I'm not saying I would do this lineup, so don't hate me, Kings fans. And I know that some of them already hated that I've said this already, but like, I can envision a world where you've got, as I clear my throat, as you've got Rashawn Holmes at the 5, Domantas Sabonis at the 4, Harrison Barnes at the 3, Kevin Huerter at the 2, and De'Aaron Fox at the 1. And I don't think that's, part of me kind of wants to see it, but I don't think it's terrible. It's probably the one I'd go with. But to your point about like, does he start? Like, I don't know. There's training camp. Like, that's why you have training camp, and you don't need to necessarily have him go out there and fail. He looks like an ultra confident player. He doesn't seem like someone that's going to lose his confidence, but I still think Mike Brown is going to be very, I think he's going to be strategic with what he does. And I think he's going to be all about defense. And I think he knows that second unit is going to be just as important as who he starts. But I also think, like, for anyone who cringes over the fact that Rashawn Holmes and Domantas Sabonis will possibly play together, like, you do that and then you stagger them so that one of them is on the floor at all times. And granted, they're different players, but those are, like it or not, those are your bigs. Like Alex Len doesn't really factor much into that equation. Maybe a little bit, who knows? And then you just kind of let it go from there. I don't know that he's going to go 10 deep. I don't think he'll go any more than really 9 deep. So however the roster looks like, which again, I caution people, we have a ton of offseason left as we record this, or we're live. Hey, we're live, everybody. Yes. July 19th. So, well, again, there's just so much more that can happen. And to come out here and anoint him a starter, I don't know. I certainly don't agree with it. I don't think that would be the case. I think you have to have several things play out. But would it surprise me? Probably a little bit. I don't know that I would bet on him being a starter.
Really?
I know, that's why.
And by the way, I'm not even saying like, oh, he should be because he's a number 4 pick. I just think like some of the stuff we just talked about. What we saw, I know it's summer league, and I don't need it. It's just summer league guy coming in, but
he looks ready.
Yeah, good feel for the game. You can shoot it, and I think that lineup you had mentioned. It's like the spacing to me is just not good enough. Even if you are bullish on Sabonis improving his 3-point shot, what's it really going to look like? Like, best case scenario for Sabonis in the 3-point shot if it gets better. I mean, maybe 35%. That'd be amazing. I'd take that from him. I would take that for him. But, like, I just think having some nice size at that 4 spot, the shooting, the off-ball movement, it feels like he'd almost be the perfect guy for that starting lineup. And your front line would have some decent size with Barnes, with Keegan, and with Sabonis.
Right. And then, but there's another world where, okay, you don't start Rashawn and you go Sabonis at the center and you go Harrison at the 4, you go Huerter at the 3, Monk at the 2. I mean, there's just.
Why are you trying to bench Keegan Murray today?
Well, not only that, and I feel like the amount of times that we saw Barnes at the 4 and it's just not a position that. Not to say that he can't, because he did well when he played in that position, but then it took away so many other things that he could excel at and contribute to this team that needs a lot of shit, So it was like, great, Harrison Barnes can contribute on that end of the floor, being able to guard wings, being able to also on the offensive end be a scorer, cut off the ball, especially with someone like a big like Sabonis that can pass the ball. I don't know. I know it's not like 100% he should be starting. But we did also see with Tyrese Halliburton, again, different coach, different time. But when there was times Buddy starting over him, and it's like, let Tyrese play. Like, let this young guy play. And in Sacramento, I just feel like young guys have to contribute early, especially if they're capable of doing it.
Yeah, well, I think both can be true. Like, you have to be able to contribute. But, there's a sense of earn it. You have to
For
earn
sure.
it.
I'm with that. You need that competitiveness. Like, that sets the culture.
And with due respect to Keegan and what happened in summer league, that doesn't mean shit once training camp happens. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely.
So, especially when you've got you're trying to set a culture, and you've got guys that do it the right way. And look, I think it's easy to look at what Keegan Murray brings to the floor and go, you have to have that on the floor. Sure, you do. I agree. You don't really have another stretch four like that, except for maybe Harrison if you put him there. But I also feel like there's so much that gets made over starters that
Yeah, I'm with you.
you have to look at the complete picture about, like, just because you start that way. And I think we saw so often where Domantas Sabonis would start the game and he's out in 4 minutes. Fox pretty much played the entire first quarter. In summer league, and again, this doesn't matter, but you were seeing Keegan play the entire first and third quarters, and then he'd come back in the latter half, or in the latter few minutes of the second and fourth. So yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to watch. I just want to see what it looks like. I want to see what this team looks like. I still think that there's probably a move on the horizon.